Hey out there, this is Thursday, May 27th, 2021, and it is just about 11 minutes or so past 8 in the morning here in Northern California. I took a trip last couple of days. I was down in Southern California in San Diego, going to one of my daughter's graduations. She wanted me to make the trek. I'll tell you, it doesn't get any easier. The older you get, the harder these treks are. It's the term travel. If you look at the etymology of that, it came from the term travail, kind of a difficult thing, like a woman in labor, for example. But, the older you get, the more you realize it kind of feels like that, unless you got servants doing everything for you. Oh, pack this, pack that, pack the next thing. I don't know. But anyhow, it was a great time with friends and family, and it's great. It's a kind of experience you remember for the rest of your life, and the older I get, the more I cherish those precious moments. But I showed some scenes there from San Diego. I tell you, it seems like almost everybody's in a good mood down there, and I think a lot of it just has to do with the beauty, the natural beauty of the place, and all those palm trees. I mean, they can grow virtually any palm tree down there, it looks like. And the sunshiny skies, the weather, is it's less harsh than Northern California. Let's put it that way, especially the valley areas of Northern California. It doesn't get quite as hot. I mean, there's inland regions of San Diego that cook pretty well, and it definitely got hot while I was there. But they've got that ocean layer, that marine layer they call it, when the fog comes in a lot and cools them down. That nature's air conditioning. But my feelings are that everybody ought to be able to live in San Diego. I mean, we all ought to have, you know, give me my way, and we'll all have extra houses, apartments, whatever floats your boat, whatever you want. It doesn't matter. Nobody cares. We'll have extra stuff all over the freaking planet. And wherever you want to go at any given time, you're free. I mean, we could figure this thing out. You can only be in one place at one time. And let's say, well, in a couple days I want to move here or there or the next place. I mean, it should be that simple for any of us. We could have that level of superfluity at this point in history easily. And the evil men running the show, they know this. They know that. What do you think? Come on. They're not stupid people. They don't want you free. You see, freedom is what it's all about at the end of the day. The happiness, because in order to be happy, we've got to feel free. And human beings certainly are far from free. We've got to understand that. I don't care where you live. Okay, and America is considered the archetype for freedom, right? The exemplar. But financially speaking, people are bound, they're burdened. Look, it's like a loathsome wound on the body, the collective body of society. And if we don't care about others' burden, what makes us think someday when we answer for our belief system, why we okayed that in our heart and mind and said it's okay to burden others with burden I don't want for myself or my children. This is something landlords need to stick in their pipes and smoke it. And I'm their best freaking friend. But for God's sake, man, we're one family. That's the family of man. And you better take the one rule, one piece of advice, one guideline, one law very, very seriously. And that is to live by the golden rule. And golden rule essentially states to love each other like Christ loved us, like you love yourself. And I would go further and extend that to say, like you would love your kids. Even if you don't have kids, you understand that agape love, that unconditional love that parents feel for their kids. You know it instinctively. You can imagine it very easily what it's like to have your own children, whether they're biological or not. Because, that's a funny thing. My daughter and I, we joke about doing a test to see if we're related. I mean, who knows? Dads, fathers never know if they're really the dad or not, right? Mothers always know. We always know who the mother of the child is. But, I mean, there's got to be a whole lot of stuff that slips through the cracks. Okay, a lot, was the milkman here around that time? Wait a minute, that sort of thing. I'm just saying, you just don't know. And, but we get a good kick out of it because neither one of us cares enough to be compelled to check. I mean, we look a lot alike. I totally believe she's my daughter. I got wonderful daughters, and I'm very lucky. But you know what? If we were not biologically related, I couldn't imagine loving her less because of it. I just couldn't. I couldn't see her in any other light. I raised her since she was a little baby. I gave her baths and changed her diaper, and protected her with her life above mine. Both my daughters. I treated my kids that way, and I wouldn't change it for the world. So it's just a funny thing. I get a kick out of that neither one of us really cares enough to have it checked out because it's so easy. My other daughter did. She had it. Sure enough, I'm her dad, biologically speaking. But, it's so incidental and so irrelevant in the scheme of things. When we really look at things through God's point of view and realize parents don't really have children. I mean, they don't possess children. They don't own children. They're a mystery. They're a miracle. Okay, it's all about the ownership belonging to the sovereign. And a sovereign is like an authority that is unassailable, unquestionable. It's like, Joe Friday on Dragnet. Just the facts, ma'am. That's just the way it is. We're owned. We are property of another. And we got to start seeing that as very crucial to us getting it together, man. And ever finding freedom and happiness and just saying, you know what, screw you guys. I'm going home. These rulers, these evil rulers. Yeah, I take that from Cartman on South Park. But, just say, damn it, we need to be free for God's sake. Start treating strangers the way you would treat your own damn children. Please, for God's sake. I don't want to get wound up and upset here because, I say I'm hamming up for the camera sometimes when I get excited and start freaking out and stuff and go on a diatribe. But you know what? I got to watch my blood pressure. I got to watch the condition of my heart and a lot of things. I don't want to do it. I don't see any point anymore. I mean, I've just got to let it go, man. I mean, at some point, it's every man for himself. It's sink or swim. And I hate it. I hate it. This is why I'm always telling everybody, listen, I finally figured it out. And with each passing day, I'm absolutely more and more certain that the only solution to all of humanity's problems is to start listening to that inner voice. That inner voice is literally the spirit of truth, and that is of God and from God. You understand? And it's there for all of us. We're all without excuse. You're deciding not to tune into it. For the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth about how you ought to be looking at stuff, how you ought to be perceiving things, what your perception ought to be, what your perspective ought to be. You should say, you conscious choice. You choose to say, I want to see through God's eyes prayerfully. You ask for something really good like that, you're going to get it. So the only people that aren't going to get it, okay, are those that don't care. They find it impertinent, irrelevant, of no concern to theirs. That conscience is just a nagging little, get out of here. Go away. Go away. No, I need to make a lot of dough. I want to drive a fancy new Mercedes, and I want to be somebody. I want stature and status, and I want to hang out with those types, and I want to do this and that. I would really want to be, just a lot of people that want to be big real estate holders, and who doesn't get it? I mean, we all get the allure, the intoxicating allure, the enticement of a lot of dough. We get it. Everybody gets it. So the rich got to understand that, man. It's not that the poor don't get it, but you understand that they are appalled. They are turned off. They are repelled by what they see. So this is why they get trampled under the hooves of the evil men that say, I don't care. That conscience, just nagging little voice. Just screw it, man. Get out of here. Be gone, conscience, This sort of thing. And it's like, for God's sake, we're so screwed up. But my friends, to finish up what I'm trying to say here is the only solution that I believe is of God, from God, is that we have to start getting ready for a reality, for an existence void of all and any forms of money. Period. End of story. That's it. All the other creatures do it just fine. And we're by far and away more intellectual than these creatures. For anyone to suggest that we just can't do it, that's impossible. And that's the way we're trained. You see, we are these small-minded, narrow-minded, freaking brute beast-like, automaton-like things that these people have rendered. They did it. These evil men at the uppermost echelons of power. These are the ones that start telling you it's a good thing. It's a prudent and wise thing to ignore your conscience, to just not give a crap about other people. That's their problem, man. This is about you getting yours. It's a rat race. Tell them to wake up. Tell them, get on the bandwagon. I don't do what I did. I mean, it's only, you see what I mean? I mean, it is, you see why I get upset about this? And it could so easily have been avoided. What this amounts to, the debasement of our money, progress regarding capitalism dictates that your money gradually, doesn't matter at what pace, people don't care. They don't care. But for God's sake, people want progress when it comes to social economic justice. They want the game to be played fair. And it's anything but that is happening. Okay, it isn't. You could call it what you will. I mean, you could just label it capitalism. But if you want to call Section 8 housing program socialist, that sure as hell isn't the solution. When that $50 billion that we the taxpayers are forced to spend to subsidize the housing costs for poor people, all it does is serve to enrich the fat cats and exacerbate the problems. Am I the crazy radical here to say, well, why don't we just logically siphon off some of that money, and mathematically speaking, it's, you know, it's a lot cheaper in the long run, and buy people, it doesn't have to be fancy houses, but something that you wouldn't mind living in, or your kids living in, something respectable. They can have some dignity. Would you deny that to others? I mean, what makes you think you're going to stand before God and justify that kind of thinking when you've followed the laws of man, every one of them, but that one thing you didn't care about? I mean, did the government create you? Did they make you? Did they give you life and existence and your five senses and everything good you've ever enjoyed? Are they not responsible for anything bad ever since the beginning of recorded history? That's God. So you see about values and your priorities and what is and what is not pertinent and relevant, and how askew we can be, because there's a schism, there's a paradox, there's a dichotomy raging within all of our hearts and minds, our spirits and souls. We're very dynamic, evolved